Oh, thank you.
We are learning about something called distance time graphs. Has anyone heard of these before? Who wants to have a stab at what they involve? They involve graphs. They involve distance. And there's one more thing that they involve we haven't mentioned. And they involve time. How did you guys get that? Before we start that, right, distance time graphs, let me just tell you right now, are a fancy way of telling stories. And to start off, you guys are going to look at a little story here. Yeah, so we start at A, and I'm going to B here. And this graph here, it has some information. On the horizontal axis, we normally put time. On the vertical axis, we normally put some other parameters, so like distance, right? So what's the question? So how far are we traveling? Right, so we're in between the 200 and 300 mark. On your graph, it's much more clear because there's a grid. Right, we're traveling 250 kilometers. Amity, where are we going to look to find out how long we're traveling? Thanks, Amity. Yeah. Which way? Which one has the time? How do you describe the axis? You forgot. The one going left and right, the one going up and down? Left to right. So that's the horizontal axis. That's our time. In between 2 and 3. We've got a grid on your one, so it's a bit easier to see. So how long we're traveling for? Yeah, 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 30 minutes. Exactly right. Now, we chatted about this last lesson. Well, we talked about this idea of average. And there's a formula to calculate your average speed. And we drew a little, does you remember the shape that we drew last lesson? We drew a triangle. Just to jog your memory, looks like this. And I'm now asking, what was the average speed? Now you can get that from a few places on this graph, but you actually have all the information that you need, right? If I'm looking for the speed, that's equal to, I covered this guy, distance over time. What is my distance? 250 kilometers. And what is my time? 2 hours and 30 minutes? Or 2.5 hours? Check that in your calculator for me. Memory, yeah.
Can't you just look at the graph and go, wow, it was 100 kilometers?
Ah. That's something you could look at as well. So let's just verify that idea. What did you say again, Memory?
100 kilometers.
And how did you get that?
Because at 1 hour, it's at 100.
Okay. So if you look at this grid, is this 100 by the way, Blake? Yeah. It is 100 kilometers per hour. But Momo's realized, hang on, if you just look at this graph has a lot more information as well, right? If you look at this, you can match up the point. And remember, when we talk about speed, we usually talk about it per hour. If my line is a straight line, what I can do is I can just match it up and I can see what's happening here, right? I can see that after 1 hour, I'm at 100 kilometers. If that graph doesn't change at all, okay, if it doesn't change it at its steepness, then I can just take that as the average speed there. So that's a notable feature. Some notable features here. The steepness of a graph, jot this down for me, the steepness of a graph tells me the speed, or the average speed. The steepness of a graph tells me the average speed. Can you jot that down for me? Steepness of a graph tells me the average speed. Now think back to the cups that I was talking about. This is not on your graph, right? But think back to the cups I was talking about, okay? If I continued this journey, and let's say now I'm doing this. This is not on your ones, but I'm adding it on. Just have a think. What does this represent? Have a think. Don't shut it up, just have a think. So now my line's different. Okay, my line is just horizontal. That blue line there that I've added in, that's horizontal. what does that mean for my journey? Have a think. This is my distance from town A to town B. If my line's just going horizontal across, what does that indicate? All right, Isaac, remind me again, what does this vertical axis represent?
Distance.
It's the distance away. It's the distance away from where I started. I'm starting at town A, the distance is 0 kilometers, that's where I am. How far away is town B? 250 kilometers. But remember, if I've just got a horizontal line there, what's that indicating?
Is it not moving?
I'm not going anywhere, right? Have a think about it, right? If this vertical axis is your distance away, if I'm just horizontal across here, like, think about what these axes are. The time is still passing, but your distance is not changing at all. Can you write this down for me then? The observation is a horizontal line means that I want to say not moving, but that doesn't sound really too technical. I'm going to use a different word. I'm saying stationary. I'm not talking about the pencils or pens, but I'm not moving. I'm stationary. You like that one? Something's changed now. I've added in, what does this line represent? If I'm doing this now, if my line's going down from left to right, what's happening in my story? This is just a story, isn't it? It's just a story. Let's think about from the beginning. Here's town A. I'm driving out 250 kilometers away, country town. I stay there, have a bit of lunch, go have a bite, catch up with some friends. Liz, what's happening next?
They're coming back to town.
Yeah, we're coming back home. Woohoo! All right, we're coming back home. What's my speed though?
Oh, it's different.
So before it took me 2.5 hours to do 250 kilometers. This time though, something's changed. Something's changed. Was that Isaac?
Took an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about this, right? I know that the speed is equal to distance over time. And so my distance now, the distance is still the same. The town hasn't changed its distance. It's still 250 kilometers apart. What has changed though is how long I took to drive. This time I've only gone from 6 to halfway between 7 and 8, or as Isaac said, an hour and a half. That's 1.5. So let's work out that speed now. Would you? They're speeding, you reckon? Yeah. Hopefully there's no highway patrol. Yeah. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe.
What about traffic?
What about the traffic?
Yeah, that was mine. That was Sunny's. Like, what about traffic?
Yeah. Well, maybe they took a shortcut. Yeah. Put that in your calculator for me. Tell me what you get. What do you get there?
166 per 6 repeater.
166 minutes.
Yeah, let's leave it as, we can leave it like this, 166.6 repeater, kilometers per hour, okay? That's definitely above the legal speed. Does anyone know the legal speeding? How much? How much? I think 110 kilometers is the highest speed limit. There was a period of time in New South Wales when there were certain roads where there were no speed limits. They've gotten rid of those now. That's very dangerous. So this guy is definitely speeding. So he's got a red pen. Don't do that. Stop. Yeah. So if you drive on country roads or on like freeways and stuff, people will often overtake you at speeds. That's sort of okay depending on the situation. But that's way too fast. That's way too fast. What I will say, one more observation, you're right. One more observation is, graphically, just looking at your graphs. Yeah, hey, coming back, thank you. Look at these two lines. Apart from knowing that they are, looking at these graphs, apart from knowing the hours that it takes, what other things visually can you see that's different about these two? Apart from the fact that, one's going away and one's coming back, there's something else visually that's different. Isaac? Yeah.
The angle of them.
Yeah, well, how would you just compare them?
So the one on the first one.
Yeah.
Not as acute.
Not as acute, you reckon?
Well, yeah, it was wider than the second one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I measured.
Well, think about it like this, right? If your speed, right, is, if I'm taking less time to do that, let's say I was driving, really slowly, I'm taking my time, it would look something like this. I'll use a different color, use black. If I was taking my time, which one's steeper? Yeah, this guy's steeper here, right? So if I think about it, the steeper a line is, the faster your... That's right. So that's the next observation. The steeper the line, the faster your speed, or the higher your speed. That's not as steep, and that's steeper. Yeah.
That's like when like you're on a slide as well. Like if it's like it's going out, obviously,
Yeah.
like it won't go as fast, but then it's like still.
So you can think it almost visually, right? If this is a slide, okay, you're going to go really fast down this way. You're going to go really slowly down that way. Okay, is that what you're kind of saying? Yeah. Good observation.